your emergency?
The house is on fire next door. Something is on fire in the house. My husband just yelled and told me to call the fire department. Oh my God.
And if you said it's your neighbor's house?
No, it's our house. We own the house, but we live next door. We just got the house.
Okay, the fire department is being sent. Stay on the line. I'll tell you exactly what to do next. And I'm going to let you go. Help is on the way.
We moved to Severna Park about 12 years ago. A place that we always wanted to move to. We went to Severdale, a really nice neighborhood.
It was very family-oriented. Everybody got along.
Severna Park, Maryland, where life revolves around the Severn River. Quiet coves, rolling green hills, and tight-knit streets where everyone seemed to know everyone else. It was the kind of Maryland neighborhood residents described as safe, one of the main reasons Matt and Stephanie Johnson moved here 13 years ago.
So we got established into Severdale.
The typical family functions going on, family gatherings, people out on boats, people playing on the water, swimming. Just a great neighborhood. Couldn't ask for anything more in a neighborhood. I think when we moved into the neighborhood in 2012, we saw a need. It was like we said, it was a great neighborhood to live in, but we saw where we could add some value in it.
Within a couple of years of moving there, we got very involved with the community. I went to the Community Association Board.
We wanted to be a part of our community.
My profession for 20 years has been a hairstylist. I've been self-employed for past 15 years. Everybody was a big family.
Detective Matt Johnson is a 17-year veteran police officer. He's worked closely with several federal agencies throughout his career and has received awards and recognition for his work.
I went through the police academy in 2004. My desire was to always work for our local police department. I resided in the area, and it's somewhere that I love to be. It's a great place to work.
Within a couple of years of moving there, we got planning the community events. We would have multiple ones a year, and that was really my thing that I got into and really, really loved. Even as my kids have grown older, I really enjoyed being able to plan and host a lot of the community events.
It seemed like the Johnsons helped bring the neighborhood together a little bit more when they got involved. Like the Easter egg stuff and the community stuff seemed a little more family oriented that way, especially when they started getting involved in that situation.
The Johnson family is just like the kindest people you could ever meet. They're really fun. Steph is so easy to talk to. Matt and her are just like so in love, and their kids are amazing. They're great parents.
Over the years, I very much enjoyed all the fun events and activities. It was something that I've always loved doing, and just became more and more involved, took over more of the events, and then got to the point where basically we said I was in charge of the Fun Squad. Fun Squad was all Easter egg hunts, community picnic, movie nights in our port that we would help host, and of course incorporating all the other moms. But that was something that I really headed up and really loved. That was something that was really important to me, keeping the neighborhood joined together.
The community association at the time that we lived in there was essentially a lot of older people in the neighborhood. They were doing a great job, but we saw where we could make improvements. If I remember correctly, it was right around 2019. The president at the time was getting burnt out, and so I put my name in, and I became the president of the community association. Community association overall was a very great place. Everybody got along. There was the normal neighborhood complaints that we would receive and try to figure the problems out. But we did deal with a lot of just normal neighborhood stuff. dogs off leashes. And the biggest complaint I think that we have, I'm smiling about it now, but was actually dog poop. We got a lot of complaints about people not picking up their dog poop. Everybody got along. There was a lot of things that we accomplished.
Until the fence.
I don't remember the exact day. I was at work, but Steffi brought it to my attention. I don't have social media. That somebody posted on our community page talking bad about this new neighbor. It was very volatile. And I was deeply hurt by the post because I didn't understand why somebody that was in the neighborhood could be that angry.
This wasn't the way we really did things. We didn't go and attack other neighbors and families. And as such, we commented on the post and said that that was not an appropriate place to take that up. And that if there was a problem, you could email the board, you could call Matt, talk to him.
Mr. Keel was very aggressive with the board. He was a very difficult man to deal with. He made a lot of arguments about stuff that didn't need to be argued about.
I guess I'm not sure how everybody else felt about him. Aaron Keel is, I kind of stayed away from, it seemed a little off to me. Why do you care? Why would you post something on Facebook, about what somebody else is doing with their property?
So in light of that post, this just snowballed.
So many complaints came in about Mr. Keel.
One of the complaints that we got is that Mr. Keel had hit a neighbor's mailbox. Yet again, another person saying that he was walking his dog off leash. People were concerned about that. It scared their kids.
A lot of the neighbors were frustrated. We were very neutral when we talked to Mr. Keel about the fence. I heard his concerns. In fact, I tried to meet with him several times. We emailed back and forth several times. And it just didn't seem that I could make him happy. So many complaints came in about Mr. Keel that I felt like it was necessary to bring it up to the board. And I was very, very cautious. Stephanie and I actually had very lengthy conversations about being cautious and not to just talk about Mr. Keel in a negative way, to fairly deal with these issues and see how we could fix the problem. That was our only goal, was to fix the problem. One of Mr. Keel's friends, I believe that he had sent that email to Mr. Keel, and things unfortunately went downhill from there.
We received a letter from a lawyer, a cease and desist, saying that we were basically defaming Mr. Keel.
I remember looking at this letter, and I opened it up at the mailbox, and I was simply in disbelief. I knew that I didn't do anything wrong. I went out of my way to try to talk to Mr. Keel, went out of my way to try to protect his name. But when I read the letter, I was really disheartened. I was concerned. I was in fear that I would put my job in jeopardy.
We went and sought out our own lawyer. In the letter that was sent to us, it said that we did not send proof of evidence that we were admitting guilt, which was far from the truth. Not only have we received the complaints, but we had a video of him actually hitting the mailbox. So we went and saw our own lawyer, who wrote a letter back and simply said we had done nothing wrong in any way, and that Mr. Keel needed to stop intimidating or harassing us in any way, that we simply did nothing wrong.
Thought that the issue was resolved. I never heard any other interactions with his attorney. There was no further Facebook posts, no further letters from any attorney. I really thought that we were in an okay spot.
And rage is part of the situation. Other little things can light that rage.
For more evidence, photos, and aftermath, go to www.burningobsessionmd.com. If you or anyone you know has been a victim of stalking, please visit www.juststalkingndresources.org for resources, education, and advocacy. Due to security concerns, some of the participants in this production have asked not to be identifiable. Ever since an incident between the Johnsons and neighbor Aaron Keel months earlier, an ominous silence has loomed over their lives.
Almost a year and a half went by that I had no conversations with Keel. And I was still the community president. We continued having a good time in the neighborhood. I chose not to, after that situation, have any interactions with Mr. Keel. I'd see him in passing as I was leaving for work. He would always be walking his dog. And we didn't have any other conversations.
There's no need to at that point.
And then in 2024, I saw this package that was addressed to me. I remember opening it and I was just kind of confused what it was.
So he brings his package in and says, you know, look what came in the mail. And I see this cheap sex toy, a small vibrator, and we both were just like, what is going on?
I actually think that I was probably more bothered by it than Stephanie was at the time. I spent a great amount of time, and Stephanie did too, trying to research where this package came from, but we kept on meeting at that end. It was sent through multiple different delivery services.
It was easy to explain away and be like, that was weird.
Several weeks went by, and I remember we chose to brush it off and not talk about it. Fast forward to Christmas. It was several days after Christmas. I remember again going back out to the mailbox. I'm like, what is going on? Before I even open up the package, I was like, here's another package addressed to me.
So Matt brings in this package and brings this in to show me, and I hold up this lingerie and think, what the heck is going on? This lingerie was very obviously not for me. I am not a very petite, tiny girl, which this was obviously in a very, very small size that it was bought for. Very clearly was intended to look a very specific way. It was very obvious that it was sent, like Matt had sent had purchased something for someone else. It was very, very obvious that someone was trying to mess with us in some way.
She was playing tricks on us. I asked a couple friends, like, hey, is this anything that you guys have to do with it? I was very angry about it. I was very, very mad that somebody was trying to send something to make it look like I'm the bad guy.
Stalking can be purely psychological. For some perpetrators, it may be about the fact that they feel that they were wronged. So regarding this case, it can be that if I'm the perpetrator and I feel that I was right and you were wrong, and I feel that I should be vindicated, and now I feel that I have the right to do all these things against you.
It's traumatizing to be in danger and to not have things that are surprising happen. And then once you started experiencing those things, it just kept coming and coming. So there's that feeling of it not only being a trauma, but of it happening over and over and over again, which then just re-traumatizes and blows things up even more.
We take a cruise normally in January during the winter time. We left about 6 days after that package had came, and we parked my car at the port. So my car was parked there then for about 8 days. So obviously, I was clearly not home then. While we were on the cruise, we got a phone call that our next door neighbor, who we cared extensively for and was like our family, had actually been taken to the hospital.
Miss Jean, I called her my grandma. She wasn't blood, but she truly was blood. We had purchased our house. We had purchased it from an older couple that said, make sure you take care of the neighbor. Of course, Stephanie and I, who we were going to take care of the neighbors no matter what. They described her as somebody who was adopted, that never been married before, but was getting up there in age. So we established a relationship with Miss Jean. We were at her house every single day. We did all kinds of things around the house for her. Stephanie spent countless hours putting her medicine together every week.
And as time had gone by and us getting to know her during COVID, all these things, you could clearly see that Jean needed more help. And we just established a trust and bond, and she knew that she knew that she could trust us and rely on us, and we were going to take care of her. So when we got the call that when we were on the cruise that she was back in the hospital, we were very concerned. We knew if she was going back into the hospital, it was probably not going to be a good situation.
Stephanie was self-employed at the time, and she was able to adjust her schedule to be there, literally spending the night with her, and Stephanie left her white SUV at the hospital. Stephanie was there when Miss Jean took her last breath. We handled all of Miss Jean's funeral arrangements. We made plans, spent countless hours, and truly we wanted to do that for her.
She had let us know a couple months prior that we were her family, and she didn't have any kids. She didn't have anybody to leave her house to, and that we were the closest thing that she had to family. And that was incredibly special to us.
We chose to do something special with Jean's house because it was a family member's house. My sister, who has 2 kids, we chose to offer it to them to rent from us. So Stephanie and I took on the burden, if you will, of updating Miss Jean's house.
We were really excited to make the house nice for our family moving in. We were sending them pictures every day, sending them videos, even down to picking out the color for one of my niece's rooms and her sending me color choices.
That was definitely very excited to have her sister-in-law moving into that house. I know there was definitely their happiness for being to help her sister-in-law out. I know her sister-in-law was kind of in a little bit of a situation where they weren't really sure how to move, and having this house next door to them would have been a great help for her. And then also just having family so close by is always, who doesn't like having their family right next door to them?
Miss Jean lived in that house for years, and she had a lot of stuff in the house. So we chose to do a estate sale, and we had hundreds of people come through the house.
Next door to us.
I remember that somebody had noticed that Mr. Keel was looking around the house and not looking at stuff. He was looking at the back door, around, and they thought that was suspicious. And I didn't think anything of it. I never talked to Mr. Keel. I just brushed it off. In fact, I saw Mr. Keel leaving the house with a very old bed frame. And of course, Mr. Keel had sent us this letter, but that was years had gone by. So I didn't really pay any mind. I didn't think twice about it. I just brushed it off.
But brushing off the incident was the last thing the Johnsons should have done. And still, there were even more clues to come.
During the time that the house was under construction, Stephanie's sister, she would stay over there. The house was constructed enough where we had a bed over there for us. But I remember her coming over frantically one night after she stayed there, and she looked concerned. And I said, what was going on? And she's like, Matt, somebody last night was in the house. She was adamant about it.
That she heard the door.
She heard the door, the basement door, and she said that she heard somebody coming up the steps. And I said, no, it's an old house. We're probably hearing something. I looked out back. I couldn't see any signs that the back door was open.
I really thought, it's an old house. You can hear some creaking, and when you're staying in a different place, you can hear different things.
We were wrapping things up. We were proud of it. We were finishing the last touches on the house. the paint, the special things. And we're trying to make the house special for my sister. We had asked our nieces, hey, what colors do you want in your room? Because we were that excited just to be able to give back and give her a place where her family could stay in a safe area.
And while the Johnsons were preparing to welcome family, Aaron Keel was busy preparing plans of his own.
Wanting to hurt someone behavior does escalate.
I don't know what he's going to do to them, but he's going to do something.
For more evidence, photos, and aftermath, go to www.burningobsessionmd.com. If you or anyone you know has been a victim of stalking, please visit www.juststalkingndresources.org for resources, education, and advocacy.
Shortly after Jean passed away, I started parking my car in front of her house. We didn't want her house to appear that it was vacant. We wanted to make sure that people could see a car coming and going, being parked outside of there, just to try to deter any sort of crime, theft, anything that could possibly happen.
But despite these precautions, what Matt and Stephanie didn't know was that Keel had been surveilling them both for months. Both by drive-bys and virtually online, using elaborate searches.
I remember waking up and I could smell smoke, like something was burning. When I looked out the window, I immediately noticed smoke billowing out of the house next door. And as I walked downstairs, my heart sank. I saw smoke just billowing out of the rack. I panicked and immediately ran out the front door. At that point, the smoke is billowing out. I could see visible flame. I ran back to our house and I yelled for Stephanie. And I said, Stephanie, 911.
And on County Fire and Ambulance, it's the location of the emergency.
The house is on fire next door. And I can smell smoke from inside my... Oh my God.
I ran back to the house. There's two doors in the backyard. And as I tried to go through the door was locked. My heart sank because I knew that I had left the door open the night before when we left. I ran back to the house. I pushed the first door and that door was locked. So at that point, I knew something was wrong, something was off. I knew that there was a hose that was right next to that door. Tried to turn on the water and the water was off. And so at that point, I knew that somebody purposely turned the water off.
It was obvious. It was obvious that someone had done this on purpose. And then you just watch all of your time, hard work, money, and greater than anything, Jean's house burning in front of you. And there's nothing you can do about it. And firefighters get there, and I remember just the panic of not only is this on fire, but someone has done this. Matt is just repeatedly saying, someone did this, all the while just the most sickening feeling that something was really, really wrong. The firefighters are, getting there, staying calm, trying to assess the situation, and I remember them almost looking at him like he must be wrong. Like they were like, calm down, we'll figure this out.
And as they're putting out the fire, you could see that an ambulance had pulled up, and we found out that a fireman got injured. So it just was like a surreal feeling. Like I was certain that somebody did something to the house, it was an intentional act.
It took almost 2 hours to extinguish the fire, with over $300,000 in damage. The injured fireman was hospitalized, but not seriously injured. But the devastation to the Johnsons' lives was only just beginning.
I started noticing that all these fire marshals started pulling up. And so one of them came over. It was an investigator Tool. And I remember he asked me very specific questions. I told him what we knew. I believed it to be an intentional act. And he immediately said, who's mad at you? And I couldn't think of one person. Not one person came to mind.
So here we are in this crazy situation trying to figure out what is going on. And I remember just being like, ask us absolutely anything you want. Please ask us anything.
So at that time, I told Investigator Toll, I have an 18-year-old son that stays at the house. So he started asking my son some questions. And I think that his initial belief was that maybe Zach's friends had something to do with that. So we started looking into Zach's friend network, and that caused Zach a lot of anxiety.
After the fire, their world changed. I mean, her kids were scared. Zach ran away for days.
During the time after Zach got interviewed, Zach ran away. And it caused us a lot of stress. So here we went through the fire. Son runs away, and man, what is going on? Our lives are falling apart here. It was an unbelievable feeling of helplessness.
And adding to their stress is the suggestion Matt has received from his own police department.
From the very beginning, I informed my supervisors what was going on. I told them how I was being interviewed, and my supervisor at the time gave me the direction to Matt to be quiet, to not say anything, to not get involved.
To us, we really, really wanted to make sure that we did what we were supposed to do and not supposed to do and completely stayed out of it. We respect that you have to stay out of these things and you don't want to take the case. You don't want to take anything having to do with this. So we just had to trust that things were going the way that they should have.
Several days later, the family is reunited.
Eventually, we found out that he had returned to school. We went and met with him and we talked to him. He just needed to get away. His brain couldn't comprehend everything that had happened.
The focus has shifted to a new direction. Investigator Toole stops at the Johnsons one evening.
At this point, I have only met Investigator Toole once or twice, talked to him on the phone, but he seemed to be very invested in what he was doing. From day one, he seemed to very much care about his job, care about finding out who did this to us. So as we're sitting there at the dining room table, he says, "Hey, I have something to show you." I didn't think anything of it, and he showed us this video, and I about fell out of my chair. Without a shadow of a doubt, 100% recognized it as Aaron Keel.
Aaron Keel, dumping something into a trash bin less than a mile from the fire.
Our Investigator Toole literally looked at me and he said, "Are you okay?" And then he showed Stephanie the picture.
As soon as I saw it, I don't know if I've ever been so shocked in my entire life as seeing a man that walks by the top of your court every single day walking their dog. That is our neighbor that lives a 30-second walk away, throwing things away, and I literally fell to my knees on the floor. I have never, ever been so shocked in my entire life. Investigator Toole, he literally thought, should he call an ambulance? Because we were just blown away.
The neighbor that we hadn't had any interactions with for quite some time, with the exception of the letter from the attorney. So I asked him, I said, Investigator Toole, what happens now? Investigator Toole said, he has to develop, some more evidence on this, and it will take a couple days.
But as it turns out, that couple days becomes an excruciating and momentous week in which life changed profoundly for the Johnsons. Up to now, the longest week of their life.
I was in disbelief. What else is he gonna do? We're afraid to leave the house. I was afraid to look out the window.
Just going to her job with the fear of knowing that this person is stalking her or could be there. I mean, that's terrifying. She had to hide, she had to change her schedule around.
It seems fairly obvious that he was trying to hurt Stephanie and Matt. Either get back at them or get them.
Couldn't sleep, and then when we did sleep, we would have nightmares.
You never really felt a real sense of safety and security.
When you live in a neighborhood for a long time, you know what people do. You know that they go to work, you know that they open their shades. They're driving by his house and his car was there. You knew it was home. His shades weren't open. Like, what is going on? What is going on in his brain? What is he gonna do? Is he gonna go out with a bang? Is he gonna come hurt my family? Is he gonna do something else?
The fire department was really concerned about our safety, what was gonna happen to us, and they were really pushing to try to help keep us safe. Unfortunately, unlike the police department.
In cases with this degree of threat level, it's standard practice to have local police involved in protecting victims, especially when it's one of their own.
It can absolutely spin out of control and get worse and worse. Without knowing, you don't know whether it's going to get worse and worse.
For more evidence, photos, and aftermath, go to www.burningobsessionmd.com. If you or anyone you know has been a victim of stalking, please visit www.juststalkingndresources.org for resources, education, and advocacy.
We're all in Northway, making the turn on the Eastway now.
Finally, after a long week of work by investigator Toole, a mountain of deeply incriminating evidence has been uncovered, enough to justify the early morning raid and arrest of Aaron Keel.
Come out with your hands up. Police department search warrant. Keep walking.
Keep walking.
The team also conducts a search of Keel's home, seizing electronics and computers. A jackpot of information for the investigator.
Plug right, plate left.
Plug right, plate left.
On the other side. I'm gonna check.
From just 6 houses away, the Johnsons eyewitnessed the raid. But for Matt, an experienced cop himself, something just didn't add up.
Being in my position at work, or for the local police department that I work for, would normally be there. They would be present, not just the SWAT team. The house was so close, you could see the police cars pulling up, you could see the SWAT team coming in, and I didn't recognize anybody from my office, and that was concerning to me. Oh, where are the police besides the SWAT team? I had that question, not just the SWAT team. As time went on, they were doing the search warrant. I noticed one detective, if you will, or officer there from the unit that I work in, and I noticed that he was standing outside but didn't seem to be involved at all. That officer came back down to where Stephanie and I were sitting and didn't have a lot of information. I know how I will normally handle things. I would explain, stuff to the victim from the police side. Hey, this is what the police department is doing, but there wasn't any of that. There was very little sympathy or empathy for us. Am I not allowed to be the victim of a crime because of my profession? It felt like, yet again, we were on an island by ourselves. After Investigator Toole and his team that conducted the search warrant, they came down and talked to us and gave us a lot of information that I thought that the police department should be giving.
All right, so you're gonna swing your feet on out there. All right, you can stand up.
With Keel now safely in police custody and on his way to central booking, the Johnsons can finally breathe a sigh of relief, at least for now.
I was able to sleep for a little bit, and then go back to work. And again, I was told by my supervisor, Matt, a detective is assigned to this, but you need to keep your mouth shut and not talk about it. And I worked in the investigative unit that assists the fire marshals. They run parallel investigations in these cases.
Keel is charged with multiple crimes, from burglary to home invasion, malicious destruction, and at the top, arson, a felony. Charges that could land him up to 30 years, virtually a life sentence for the 59-year-old father and husband.
We just had to trust that things were going the way that they should have.
The fire marshal was talking to us pretty much like every day as victims, like, hey, this is the progression, this is what's going on. Just really seemed to have a sense that he cared about us on a human level, and concerned for our safety.
But 3 months after finally feeling safe, the Johnsons learned how fragile that safety really was.
After he got arrested, we thought that he would be in jail for up to the trial. I never in a million years would dream he would ever get out on bail, just the seriousness of the arson. But we learned that there was a bail review.
Because the long list of charges is so egregious, with arson being a felony, Keel's case falls to the Circuit Court of Maryland in Annapolis, miles away, and burdened with a full docket.
The judge kind of seemed like just not really getting the whole situation. In fact, I think the judge was upset over some technical difficulties with court, and he just was kind of getting through with the docket. And when it came time for Mr. Keel to come up, I think the state's attorney didn't describe the case very well. I think she did, in fact, a very poor job on really articulating how serious this crime was. And because Mr. Keel wasn't ever charged with anything before, they let him out on bail. They let him out on house arrest.
And with the suddenness of a gavel strike, the Johnsons' life was convulsed. Only this time, their once unknown monster had a face.
What's he going to do while he's out on bail? The judge made it clear to him that he couldn't come back to the neighborhood, but he could go to work. That he works out of his house. So what does that mean by he means kind of nothing to me. It means that he can go anywhere. He's just saying that he goes to work. I was told that he had to have an ankle monitor. Found out what that was it truly wasn't a 24-hour monitoring service. It was kind of explaining to us that, yeah, somebody could walk out of their house and the person the police weren't alerted.
Out on bail, Keel is confined to his parents' house in Annapolis, merely 9 miles away. A restraining order is issued against him, to questionable effect.
I remember pulling out of this local coffee place a block away from where Stephanie worked. And as I'm pulling out, I see Mr. Keel driving by. And my heart sunk. What is he doing? What is he doing so close? Stephanie still worked at this salon that is a block away from where I saw him.
We knew that he had stalked my work.
Just going to her job with the fear of knowing that this person is stalking her or could be there, that's when it really got very real and terrifying.
We had cameras on all angles, so we added to the cameras even more, and that was the only thing that we really had to help monitor us.
Stephanie, she spent a lot of time reviewing footage, hours upon hours upon hours.
And just watching to make sure that we were okay and safe.
We found a lot of stuff that when that event occurred, at Sunday morning footage of lights coming on, him pulling up on the road that was behind our house, and pass that on to the fire investigator.
Also caught on a neighbor's camera that same night is Keel making his way both to and from the arson house.
During that time, couldn't sleep, and then when we did sleep, we would have nightmares and wake up in the middle of the night and a sheer panic and sweats, and Stephanie the same, and our kids were also affected by this. I talked to my daughter every day. She also was feeling the same way.
It's said the wheels of justice turn slowly. But for the Johnsons, their 16 weeks before the next court date, with every second under the cloud of fear and uncertainty, felt like pure torture.
We weren't going out. We were truly in fear what he was going to do. We weren't safe.
It's traumatizing, dangerous that you don't know what this man is like, what problems he might have. Did he know that Stephanie was in the house? Did he know that no one was in the house? He was being very manipulative and thoughtful about how he was going to hurt both Stephanie and Matt. I think it's certainly something to be concerned about.
I had to leave my job in my salon that I love very, very much. Having to feel so stressed and anxious and unsafe every single day. The stress and anxiety was just too much. I didn't know that my last day was going to be my last day, but I came home and just realized that I couldn't do it anymore and be scared and anxious every single day.
Here the court system is here to protect us. This guy's, Mr. Keel is out on house arrest. Where do we go from here?
Finally, after months of waiting, a court date. But rather than risk a lengthy jury trial, the state pushes for a plea deal, an efficient solution for an overburdened system, though one that may leave much of the damning evidence against Keel unheard, and the Johnsons without the justice they deserve.
We had met with the state's attorney, and I think that she was doing her job, but there wasn't a sense of she wanted to get the maximum sentence. She, had a lot of stuff on her plate and just wanted it to be over. And I knew from years of in the profession and dealing with court that if you take a plea deal, you don't have to take it to court, and there's trial prep. It's a lot less work on the state's attorney. I really got the sense that she cared, but she cared more about getting it off of her plate.
The state drops all but one charge and leaves first-degree arson on the table. This despite the full gamut of Keel's many other offenses.
And you just sit back and say, how is this possible? How is all of this possible? How can someone stalk you, set your house on fire, injure a firefighter, go to just such great lengths to get 18 months in jail? And then when you also find out that, he could also get credit for time served towards that as well. And with good behavior, that could be knocked down to 9 or 10 months. And that is mind-boggling that could end up being that way.
As the Johnsons brace for the next court date, investigator Toole's exhaustive exploration of Keel's computer search history, taken in the raid, takes a chilling turn. But the most disturbing discoveries may never reach a courtroom.
Rape, table, torture. How to hire an arsonist. How to burn down a barn. Hazards of homemade explosives. An Alford plea. How to make a wife think her husband is cheating. Rape dolls. Bestiality. Table designed to rape women.
It's disgusting. It absolutely is disgusting. Why would you look up all this stuff unless that is your intent? And there's no doubt in my mind what Mr. Keel was going to do that night. I truly believe that Mr. Keel believed that my wife Stephanie was in the house. After finding out that Stephanie wasn't in the house, he set the house on fire, walked over to the school dumpster, put what looked to be a large amount of stuff in there, and we'll never know what was in that bag.
For more evidence, photos, and aftermath, go to www.burningobsessionmd.com. If you or anyone you know has been a victim of stalking, please visit www.juststalkingndresources.org for resources, education, and advocacy. As the court date draws closer, and serious pressure mounting from the state's attorney to accept a plea agreement, the Johnsons come to a painful realization.
We started having serious conversations about moving away from a neighborhood that we loved, we were well established in. So we started extensively looking at different places that would be, far away and provide us some safety away from Mr. Keel.
They would have to leave behind nearly every part of the life they once knew.
Oh, it was really, really, sad. Not only that here we are having to move out of our family home, forced into a new area, spend an extensive amount of money. I felt like we were kind of just abandoned.
Weeks leading up to court, we were definitely getting the sense that something was wrong. Things just didn't seem right.
We had learned that the FBI wanted to do what's called a behavioral analysis on Mr. Keel. The FBI literally labeled him the highest level to reoffend towards us. That his propensity towards violence was the greatest that they could label it. So as the case progressed, I think that the fire marshal, and at the time what I thought that the police department was doing was reviewing all this stuff. To come to find out, the fire marshal seemed to be doing everything.
Normally, when a threat is deemed credible, victims are warned and protective measures are put in place, while police and fire investigators conduct their investigation. But for the Johnsons, it appears that process never happened. Somewhere along the way, they feel, the police side failed the very people it was supposed to protect.
Investigator Toole had so much concern that Mr. Keel was going to do something that he believed that Stephanie should have had a police officer outside of her work. And that is not something that's abnormal. That's simply, something that's a practice. It was important to me that she have this sense of normalcy to go to work. Investigator Toole told me that he would send an email to my supervisor. I thought it odd that wasn't coming from the police. Why is the fire marshal responsible for my security? That's the police department's job. So I remember the day that Investigator Toole said, hey, I sent the email, and he said it was within a very short amount of time that supervisor said, no, it's being denied.
Given the violence already committed, the request was understandable. The denial was harder to explain, especially when the denial is from your own employer.
I was disgusted. I didn't understand why. Investigator Toole was also blown away that they said no. The supervisor's reasoning was that it was denied by somebody above him. It didn't make sense to me at all. The FBI says, hey, this grave concern here, but my own police department wouldn't provide a very minimal security detail so we could have a sense of security. Investigator Toole took it upon himself to then request for what they call an on-man card, meaning that they park an extra marked police car outside of her place of business.
Finally, the day they've been dreading for weeks, the weather reflecting their mood.
Fall rise.
Everyone, please be seated.
State versus Aaron Marshall Keel. I was trembling, shaking. I was so scared. I remember looking over to Matt and thinking, this is really, really wrong. Something is really, really wrong.
It's my understanding that the defendant in this case is going to plead guilty to count 2, which is first-degree arson, correct?
That's correct.
And I expected that I would see the investigator that was assigned to the case. There was a supervisor there. And I remember walking in with him and him saying, hey, Matt, I didn't know, but this is really bad.
It turns out the Johnsons sensed that something was awry, or soon confirmed. The standard police investigation intel for a threat of this nature was completely absent.
No reports, no threat assessment, nothing. Nothing was done to protect my family. And I know from my years of experience that there should have been.
How could he not know how bad it was? He would be the person that would know how bad this was. It was confusing, it was scary, it just was a horrible experience.
I was confused as why the detective that's assigned this case with the fire marshal wasn't there. And I'm like, where was the police department? I knew at that moment that the detective didn't do anything, didn't care about us, didn't care about the outcome of that case, and wasn't invested in it as a police officer should be.
Maximum sentence on this is 20 years?
I believe it's 30 years.
30 years. 30?
You don't, at that point, have many people behind you. Everybody else has moved on, and here we are terrified for our lives, not knowing what's going on.
Mr. Keel, please state your name and age for the record.
Aaron Keel, I'm 60 years old.
I think the amount of anxiety and stress for going back to court and knowing that he was going to go to jail, and then what could he possibly want to do to us before going back in?
By proceeding in this manner, you're giving up your right to plead not guilty. Do you understand that?
Yes.
And I will say that kind of put us back again to that time where you feel like you are
A sitting duck.
a sitting duck, and we were out alone on an island basically by ourselves, and you don't know what's going to happen because of the plea deal.
It's known that Aaron Keel did his research on the benefits of a plea deal, reduced prison time, and eliminating the risk of a trial. But for the Johnsons, it will also mean watching years of fear, trauma, and unanswered questions compressed into a single negotiated charge: first-degree arson.
You're giving up your right to have a full bench or jury trial. Do you understand?
Yes.
You're giving up your right to the presumption of innocence. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Are you pleading guilty because you are in fact guilty of this charge?
Yes.
Court's sentence in this case is 20 years. I'm going to suspend all but 18 months, and I'm not going to give him credit for time served. I'm going to order restitution to the Johnsons in the amount of $1,000, and I'm going to have a no contact provision between he and Stephanie and Matthew Johnson.
He pled guilty to a first-degree arson, which in itself is horrible. It's awful. But when you compound it with all the stuff leading up to the fire,
I really feel like there was no justice done for us. There was no justice done for the other people that could possibly be victim to him in the future.
But even with the plea and admission of responsibility, something still seemed off. It was all too easy. And Keel seemed to downplay the severity and violence of his actions to the court.
What was the harassment? Why? What was in your mind?
Mr. Johnson and I had a dispute back in 2023, and it just sat on me. It was $10 at a time, little pranks, little things. That's it.
But as it turns out, that wasn't it.
Okay, Detective and Mrs. Johnson. I've known this a long time as a prosecutor, as a private attorney, as a judge. I'm hopeful that today will give you the closure you need to move on, to heal some more. I'm hopeful that that will be the case for you.
But with the plea deal effectively bringing the prosecution to a close, and double jeopardy preventing Aaron Keel from ever being tried again in this case, the Johnsons found anything but closure.
the only thing that I can say about court is we were in survival mode. I think that if we didn't have a strong marriage and each other to lean on, we probably wouldn't be able to make it to that point.
30 days later, the Johnsons were finally able to see Inspector Toole's full report, including the strange web searches, the rape table, the bomb making, looking up bestiality, the surveillance on the Johnsons, a 250-page how-to manual on explosives, surveillance video of him at hardware stores, including one of him buying a gasoline can the day before the arson, and much, much more. For the first time, they were seeing the world through Aaron Keel's eyes, and the view was chilling.
We found out that Mr. Keel, after setting the fire, walked over to the school dumpster. I had learned that investigator Toole requested the police department to view the school cameras. I know that the detective that was assigned the case said that we don't have access to it. I know that to be false.
He researched extensively different lawyers, how to delete his browser history, and then the Alford plea.
The Alford plea, I kind of knew what that meant in my mind. If somebody is pleading guilty to a case and he understands that the state has enough evidence, but he is not pleading guilty, so he's remaining innocent. So if he's looking that up prior to the trial, that would mean that there's no debate on whether he did this or not.
With this abundance of direct evidence the investigation uncovered, most of it in the hands of the prosecutor, it's not hard to imagine what the outcome of a jury trial would have been. But the plea deal shattered that possibility.
There's clear premeditation in all of his actions, and there was a follow-through on the things that he was searching. I think it's highly disturbing that the state's attorney's office knew these facts about the case, knew about the explosives manual, knew the extra levels of deviancy, and then they were not presented to the judge in court.
There's so many unknown questions. Heartbreaking that all this came to light to the police department. The state's attorney clearly knew about it, but didn't pass it on to us. There could have been a different outcome in court if the investigator and the commanding officer really did their job, and quite frankly, they didn't. It wasn't from the police department, it was from the fire marshal. After, reading all over that, finding out exactly how bad this was, how easily Mr. Keel got off, how many people don't know about it, I think that the judge was blindsided and didn't know about how sick this man is. I wouldn't have ever agreed to a plea deal with the first degree arson. There's so much more complexity to this case than meets the eye that I think it's our duty to tell the general public that it's not our interpretation, it's not our opinion. These are stuff that was found in his search history. Now we are faced with knowing that Mr. Keel only got 18 months, but he's going to get out in probably 2 months.
The fact that now a neighborhood of over 100 homes of families could have him being back in there within a couple of months, that is a very real possibility.
It's very difficult after a case is charged to go back and look at it. The case had already been tried. They can't go back and try him again. There's nothing that they can do.
We've had questions asked about why would we want to speak out now. I think there's been a lot of, definitely hesitation and sleepless nights on our part, but also other people's parts. Some people are very, very scared, outraged, but they are terrified and scared. And I think there's going to be a lot of people that say, why would you do this? Why would you do an interview like this? And I can't sleep at night knowing the things that we know and knowing just how dangerous we feel that the general public and ourselves really are in. And I feel like it is our responsibility to say something.
What would you do? What lengths would you do to protect your family when the people that are supposed to be protecting your family, the people that are supposed to be investigating the system is not doing what they're supposed to be doing? What would you do?
So our lives have definitely changed pretty significantly. We have had to completely uproot ourselves, our lives.
We had to pay, part of our life savings to reinvent ourselves. We had to purchase a new car because it was learned after court that he had taken several pictures of Stephanie's car and surveilled her for almost over a year.
We have a shielded deed where our mail doesn't even come to our house until it's been forwarded to an outside program.
everything that we worked for has changed. Everything. There's not one thing that hasn't been touched by this person. So do I believe that 18 months is fair? No, not at all. And I don't think we'll ever be safe.
Aaron Keel is currently serving out his sentence in the Anne Arundel County Correctional Center in Maryland. He is eligible for release as soon as summer 2026. For more evidence, photos, and aftermath, go to www.burningobsessionmd.com. If you or anyone you know has been a victim of stalking, please visit www.juststalkingndresources.org for resources, education, and advocacy.